Good evening. We are from Ukraine. My name is Raul. You are watching the Ukraine on Fire project. Today we have a benefit performance of Russian propaganda. Let's start with the main caliber, the Russian propagandist Margarita Simon Yang. Everything is impeccable in Margarita, starting with the morning raw program, which in Russia wakes people up in the morning. The author of this program is famous for filming shit like Romeo and Juliet from a working family and the construction of the Crimean Bridge. At the end, everyone gets married. So, on the air, Margarita complained that it was not possible to defeat Ukraine in 5 days. Because, quote, we are fighting not with some kind of rabble, but with very motivated Nazis who were trained by all of Europe and the USA. Here Margarita soared to such heights of pure idiocy that it's time to get the stinger. The fact is that National Socialism, in which Margarita is so well versed, preached the biological and cultural superiority of the Aryan race over others. The goal of the Nazis was to create a racially pure state without Jews, Slavs, pacifists, liberals and Democrats. Margarita did not explain how a multicultural, multinational, liberal and democratic Ukraine, headed by a Jewish president, falls under this definition. So, I'll have to. The fact is that the Mossy mono-Nazis were replaced by neo-multinazis and multinationalists. They profess the superiority of the peoples of Europe, the United States and other UN member countries over Russia. I suspect that among these countries there was a place for the states of Africa, Asia and the Middle East, in which many black pacifist Aryans, swarthy liberal Aryans, Asian Democrat Aryans and ordinary Slavic Aryans live. All this Aryan evil has now gathered at the gates of the Third Rome and is eager for pogroms. Jews all over Russia hide United Russia deputies in cellars, while Russians themselves go into the forests and hide their most precious things there, scruples, refrigerators, washing machines and carpets. Russia today is a besieged fortress. One nation, one president, one faith, one truth, and one solid TV orthodoxy, which is ready in the struggle for peace, to torture, rape and kill this world with a bullet in the back of the head, or destroy entire cities with ballistic missiles. Ordinary, I would say, classic anti-fascism, and the apocryphal gospel of the apostles Simon Yang and Lavrov. Amen.
March, march, march. Russian march. He will finish the Sabbath. Those who mock the country.
I love you, bright motherland.
Further, Putin and Lukashenko entered the battle with the fascist Hydra. 2 old space marines decided to dedicate the day to the director of Roscosmos, Rogozin, which in response was glad to show the remains of Soviet space greatness.
In response to Musk's space rockets, Roscosmos announced that it would produce an elevator. But not a simple elevator, but with the voice of Gagarin. When you press the button, the sound of a launching rocket is heard and Gagarin says, "Let's go."
Everything that happens at the Vostochny Cosmodrome reminded me of Viktor Pelevin's story Omen Are. It has 2 main characters, let's call them Volodya and Sasha. Friends end up in a school, where after admission, at night, under anesthesia, they cut off their legs. And then Volodya and Sasha are sent into space. Only their space turns out to be some kind of hangar, where a rusty rocket is screwed to the ceiling. And all around bullshit. And they understand that this is bullshit. But they cannot accept the fact that they cut off their legs in vain and taught them to fly and dance with prostheses. Therefore, only Volodya and Sasha know about the bullshit rocket. Sorry, I mean Putin and Lukashenko. This is their main secret. For his sake, they send their soldiers to their deaths. And they commit crimes against humanity in war. But you can't get Volodya and Sasha like that. I quote Putin, "Bucha is the same fake as weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, because of which the US invaded Iraq. Then Volodya and Sasha began vying with nonsense about some documents, interceptions, and the movement of transport, which created the conditions for organizing provocations. Conclusion of space veterans, the British again spoiled. I am sometimes amazed at what nonsense a KGB officer is talking about. Comparing Bucha to Iraq is not just a weak analogy, it is a failure. The fact is that no chemical weapons were found in Iraq, while in Bucha hundreds of dead people were found with signs of torture, with their hands tied and in many cases with reasonable suspicions of rape. Now listen to Russians talking on the phone about rape.
Rape Ukrainian women and don't tell me anything. Good.
To rape and not tell you anything.
Yes, I do. Just be safe.
It seems that they are discussing role-playing games. I won't even comment on it. This is where professional help is needed. As I write down this story, another burial with people was found. The total number of victims is 403 civilians in the city of Bucha, and the figure is still not final. But I assure Vladimir Putin that the crimes will be investigated. Gendarmes from France arrived in Ukraine to help the investigation and help establish the truth. As you understand, Vladimir, the French will not be silent about the crimes of the British. But something tells me that the blame will be laid on the Russians. Will they talk about it on Russian TV?
America grits its teeth, but the poor will not understand that Vladimir Putin will never shame Russia's mother.
At the same time, sad Sergei Lavrov entertains the chipmunk people with stories that US hegemony in the world is coming to an end. Apparently, hinting at the second army in the world. But as long as the Russian soldier has bullets, matches, moonshine, sleep peacefully soldiers from NATO, do not laugh out loud Pentagon. In addition to matches and moonshine, the Russians still have a lot of rusty Soviet weapons and horrifying crafts like the All-in-10 drone. A review of this technical masterpiece was recently made by my colleague Pavel.
For example, All-in-10, the flagship model of the Enterprise.
Here is Canon's secret camera. And here is the cap for the gas tank.
I would like to remind Sergei Lavrov that the GDP of New York City is greater than the GDP of all of Russia. And if we talk about the state of California, its GDP is almost twice that of Russia. Google it or ask your daughter who lived in the US for a long time. Of course, Russia still has bears, birch sandals, and balalaikas. But it is unlikely that they will be enough to defeat the United States. And if the chipmunk people don't know, GDP is gross domestic product. And now some exclusive shots from the city of Murmansk, where Russia threatens not only the world hegemon, but also Finland.
Ridiculous death in Murmansk. The man drowned in the pit of the toilet. It happened on Festivalnaya Street. Anastasia Stepanova will tell the details of this story.
Two-story houses on Festivalnaya and Podgornaya streets were built back in 1952. Of the modern amenities, there is only heating. People go to the street for water, and instead of a toilet in the apartments there are cesspools. A resident of house number 7 fell into such a hole. How long the man lay in a swamp of feces is not exactly determined. Help came on Friday morning. The young man was heading to the store for beer and decided to stop by his friends along the way.
My friend Kostya went to the toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning. And Andrei was mooing downstairs in the toilet. Asked for help. But in the end, Kostya pissed and went back home. I asked him in the morning, "Where is Andrei?" Pointed to the toilet. I asked if he called the rescuers. And Kostya replies that he does not know the number.
Until the men dealt with the phones, until they called the emergency services, until they arrived, more than 1 hour passed. Pulling a man out of the fecal trap was not easy. The cesspool has not been cleaned for many years.
When the toilet was dismantled, they saw that Andrei was lying with his eyes open, frozen in shit.
Cesspools inside houses in 2022. Seriously? I would like to point out that this story about Murmansk was filmed not by the Azov regiment and not by Ukrainian Nazis, but by Russian television. By the way, less than 300 kilometers from Murmansk with cesspools in the houses is the Finnish city of Ivalo, which I have visited many times for work. I highly recommend the Russians to visit it for comparison. Unless, of course, they are allowed to go there. Then they will understand that their homeland has stolen all their oil dollars. Heaven and hell are always there. And now the news of Kadyria. This is a mountainous country in the Caucasus, where the Chechen people are captured by bandits. 2 news. First, you no longer need to listen to Ramzan trying to connect 2 words with interjections. They are not important. Just look at the expression on his face and listen to the intonations.
We begin to work, concretely, point-wise. Don, and there will be an offensive wave, not only in Mariupol, Don, but also in other settlements, cities and villages. Don, we will completely liberate Lugansk and Donetsk. Such a task was set by the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, our dear President, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin.
It is obvious to me that while Ramzan is barking, a powerful internal dialogue is taking place inside his body. The 2-kilobyte calculator built into the spinal cord is trying to calculate the very moment when to betray in time is not to betray, but to foresee. Make up your mind, Ramzan. This is not the first time for you. You have long grown out of Putin's infantryman's overcoat. News number 2. According to unverified reports, the Chipmunk people got angry at Vladislav Surkov, the ideologist of Novorossiya and the theory of the deep Russian people. Rumor has it that Putin was very offended that theories are very different from reality. By the way, Vladislav tried not to advertise that Surkov is his mother's surname, and his father's name is Dudayev. I don't know how close he is to the family of the rebel leader of Chechnya, Dzokhar Dudayev, but his relationship with Ramzan is quite close. Now the good news. Heavy weapons are coming to Ukraine from the USA and the EU. And now it's not just old Soviet technology.
One single tank costs 18 million euros.
This is the situation in Netherlands. Good luck, guys.
It's nice to hear how Russians and Europeans react differently to this. I really hope that help will come in time and our army will stop the enemy and drive him back to Mordor. You watched the Ukraine on Fire project. The Russian Federation will lose. Glory to Ukraine.
And now I will show you where the attack on Belarus was being prepared from. And if 6 hours before the operation a preventive strike had not been launched on the positions. 4 positions. I'll show you the map, I brought it.